Hello everyone! This is Remlays from 40k Theories, and welcome to the August 2022 edition of the Patreon Q&A sessions. As always, if you would like your questions answered, then click the link in the video description below and help support the channel by becoming a patron. Now, let's jump into the questions. Voice of the Emperor asks, could a machine spirit actually be a friendly AI? Not very likely, no. In fact, I did an entire video on machine spirits a while ago, so go check that out. Are there any ace fighter pilots in 40k? Yes, there are. In fact, the new novel Outgunned actually focuses upon an Imperial fighter pilot ace. I've forgotten their name, but yes, they do exist. Angerous Angel asks, is it possible that the failures in the Golden Throne, aside from mechanical failure, can be partially the potential results of orcs switching their belief that the Emperor is unkillable in the biggest fight to Yarick is unkillable in the biggest fight, given how the orcs' collective psychic ability through the Warfield is? Personally, I don't think so. I think that's a bit too easy an explanation, if that makes sense. I'm more inclined to believe that the failures with the Golden Throne are due to it being A, 10,000s of years of hodgepodge repairs, and B, it mainly being Xenos technology that no one really knows how to make it work properly, so I think it's more likely to be that. Zero Hits asks, of the weird wildlife in 40k, which is your favourite? The Diablodon, the giant dinosaur dragon-like thing from the Deathwatch RPGs. I mean, it's a giant dinosaur dragon thing. What's not to like? Griffin of Might asks, has it ever been made clear what happens to blanks and pariahs when they die? Well, from a physical standpoint, nothing out of the ordinary happens. They don't exactly explode or dissolve or anything, they just, when a blank or pariah dies, they undergo the same process of decomposition that everyone else does. If you're talking about what happens to them spiritually, like what happens to their soul or lack thereof, then no, I don't think that's ever been clarified. If you could make it canon that some chapters are in fact descended from a traitor legion, which would you want and why? The Marines Malevolent being descended from the Iron Warriors, purely because it would add another layer of assholishness to the Marines Malevolent that, let's be honest, they don't really need it, but it'll be funny. Richard Martin asks, favourite Loyalist Legion and why? I'll be honest, I don't really have a favourite Loyalist Legion. To be honest, I find most of them quite boring, but if I had to pick one, I don't know, Blood Angels, maybe? I mean, they've got a nice Renaissance-y, gothic type aesthetic. I know that's a contradiction in terms, but you know what I mean. What is your favourite 30k book and why? If I had to pick one, probably Angron's Primarch novel, because it adds a nice layer of depth to a Primarch who, let's be honest, wasn't necessarily the deepest, but not exactly shallow, but it's always nice to expand upon, a character's development and stuff like that, and, add to their backstory to actually explain why they are the way they are, kind of thing. And not to mention the fact that the Angron book is incredibly well written and incredibly, fun to read. Well, maybe fun might be the wrong word, but entertaining, I suppose, would be a better term. And there's also the fact that while most of the Primarch books themselves are kind of wank, the Angron book is, without doubt, the single best one. So I highly recommend that book, Angron Slave of Nuceria. If you haven't read it, go read it. What is something you hope to see in the final Siege of Terra book? Clarification as to who it was who stood between the Emperor and Horus. I know they're setting up to be Alanius Pius, it looks like, but I want it to be Garviel Loken, just so the story can come full circle, because the story opened with Garviel Loken, and Garviel Loken should be there at its end. That's just my personal opinion, and I know I'm not alone in this, so come on, Dan Abnett, I'm pretty sure you're right in the last book. Please make sure Garviel Loken gets to bookend the story. Please. Charlie Mink asks, besides the Cal Jericho comic book series, is there any other books or lore about Jinna Horatio? I know she got a bit of lore in the Inquisitor game system, but aside from that, I don't think so, unless she appeared in the Cal Jericho novels. In fact, she does actually make an appearance in Sinner's Bounty, but I don't know about the other books prior to that. Would you like to see more stories about Jinna Horatio? I mean, more Inquisition stories are always, a good thing, so yeah, I'd like to see more stories about her, that'd be pretty cool. What are your thoughts on the inquisitorial radical denomination of Xenos Hybris? That's the one where they believe humanity should work cooperatively with aliens and stuff like that, isn't it? It's an interesting philosophy. I don't think there's actually too many stories that delve into that philosophy, or that denomination, or whatever you want to call it. So it would be interesting to see more of it. Especially if you get one who, like, an Inquisitor of Xenos Hybrids coming, into conflict with a more, hardline Puritan Inquisitor who says, like, alien bad grr kind of thing. I think it could be a really good story to have those two opposing viewpoints clashing against one another. And finally, Austin Horner asks, if you could pick any model or line to be updated, what would it be? Probably the old Space Marine character models that were still using the sculpts from 2nd edition. In fact, scratch that, all character model sculpts that we're still using from 2nd edition. So things like, Commander Dante of the Blood Angels, most of the Phoenix Lords, that kind of thing. Because, let's be honest, they bloody well need them. And in the case of Dante, give Dante a new model, but don't make it a Primaris. And this isn't in regards to me bashing Primaris, I actually have no issue with Primaris models. It's more a case of crossing the Rubicon Primaris wouldn't really make sense for Dante's character, considering that he wants to die. So giving him an upgrade that makes him hard to kill, that just seems stupid kind of thing, you know what I mean? So I'd like to see an upgraded, updated Dante Firstborn model. That would be really nice. And I know we're steadily getting through the Phoenix Lords because, we've had Jane Czar, who was the other one we had recently as well? Oh bloody hell, we had another one, didn't we? Malgan Ra, even though the new Malgan Ra model was kind of shit. I'm sorry, it's an ugly model in my opinion. Sorry, I prefer the old one. But I would love to see a new Karandras, love to see a new Baharoth, Fuegan, those guys. So yeah, all the old character models we're still using 2nd edition sculpts for. Update them all, please. And that concludes this edition of the Patreon Q&A sessions. As always, if you would like your questions answered, then click the link in the video description below and help support the channel by becoming a patron. Until next time, this has been Remlays from 40k Theories, and we'll see you again soon. Bye bye!